wasn't recording yet anyway. You're prematurely in the frame, but it's alright.
Who magically appeared in the frame.
It's like a bing.
All right, making sure that I'm in frame. Yep, perfect. Sitting in front of the two tags. Hello, mate.
Hey,
You
welcome
good?
back. Yes, it's good to be back.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed the last episode of Between Two Shirts. Icon series did really well.
Yeah, it did.
A lot of hype behind it. It was really good to see.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I think, to be honest, I don't think I've had more DMs about any of our episodes aside from that. Like, that's been probably the biggest one.
Yeah, and that reel did really well too. It's good to see that we're Hollywood actors.
Yeah, if you've got any good feedback for us, let us know.
Shout out to Mitch for making that reel. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun.
The football scene at the moment, like jersey-wise, like we are flooded with a lot of content, a lot of jerseys. As you can see, I'm wearing a new one, which we're talking about today. Would you say there's too many jerseys being released now at the moment, or do you reckon there's not enough unique jerseys?
I feel like maybe timing is weird, right? Like, I feel like because we've had the World Cup, it feels like this season's been going on for such a long time.
Yeah, it does actually.
But like releasing a kit now seems really odd, but I'm happy about it at the same time.
Yeah, like we haven't had a Nike release proper, like the fourth shirt. Like a few clubs here and there have had their sort of initial connection to history and stuff.
Yep.
We do have the Icon series, and a few clubs here and there have had sort of special collaborations like the Crochet and even Ari's with the club that we're speaking about today, Roma.
Yes, yeah.
But overall, like I don't think there was many jerseys compared to the previous years. I think 2017, 2018 was one of my iconic seasons. There was the Nike third shirts where they had like the Chelsea black and orange one.
Yeah.
United, what's it called? Inter Milan had the Pirelli black one.
Maybe the World Cup plays a part in that. Maybe it's like, we can only physically produce X amount of units.
Do you reckon there's a limit to manufacturers making shirts that year?
I'd say so. And there'd probably be like an estimated like spend, I guess, as well, right? Like you'd probably assume that the average person probably buys, like average football fan might buy 3 shirts a year or something, right? So say you go a little bit higher than that and say you buy your home away third, which is kind of like the minimum, I guess, for most clubs.
Yeah.
You put a World Cup year in there, you might buy a national team kit too. How many more kits are you going to release? And then how many more are you actually going to buy as a consumer?
Do you reckon there's a legal limit to sort of the governmental situations where each manufacturer is limited to the amount of stock and material they produce?
Yeah, unless you're Armani, then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's a horrible collaboration. We are talking about Italian football today as well.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a
I feel
thing.
like the Italian football has had a bit of a renaissance situation where clubs are redesigning themselves. We're seeing clubs reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
And even clubs like Napoli doing well on the pitch where they've literally just found a random player in the Georgian league and has become one of the best players.
Great,
in the league.
what a weapon.
I'm not going to pronounce his name.
No, but man, like I'm assuming you're talking about his. No, I don't know how to pronounce it. To be honest, I was listening to Up to Sport and I was like watching Claude's do it, and I was like, man, I'm like just trying to like phonetically get through that guy's name. I'm like, and Claude's just like bang off the tongue, like credit where credit's due.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, of course, but amazing, right? Like, what a goal, what a player.
Yeah, mate. The whole Serie A this year has been a great one. Like, unfortunately for me to see Inter Milan lose to, was it Lecce? No, who did we lose to the other day? Oh, Spezia. And Maldini scored the goal, and it's just amazing for him because, of course, Milan family. Italian football, amazing. We're seeing Roma.
It's in a good space, isn't it? I think I was talking to someone sort of I don't know if it was just shy of the World Cup or just after the World Cup, but we were saying that I think people were feeling a bit unfulfilled about the Premier League, but I think they were talking about the Bundesliga and the Serie A specifically, and they're like, like Union Berlin's pumping, like Napoli's, back on top, that haven't been, like they've been a good side. They haven't been like this dominant in 30, 40 years, right?
Dominant.
Since the 80s.
They're way past dominant. They're going to win the league without any problem.
They're comfortable, and it's crazy when you.
The French league doesn't have anything special about it at the moment. Like PSG, maybe, but like I don't feel like Lyon, Marseille, or any other of the top 5 teams have done anything to make the rest of the world speak.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like, what was it, 2 years ago when. Was it Lille?
Yeah, Lille.
That won the league? It's not like that. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't feel that way anyway.
It doesn't feel special. I feel like Serie A does have that sort of
bit romantic
X factor.
Yeah, it's a little bit
romantic sort of period of time. In the 90s, Italy was like the most loved football.
Yeah, it was the big league, right? The money was there, and that's where all the players were going.
And literally, that's why the Premier League formed. It's because they wanted to take over that glory that Italy had.
And you look at the 90s in the Premier League, and they quite literally did. They start pulling players like Vialli, Ravanelli, like these guys are coming across. Zola, exactly right. And it was throughout all the leagues, and then they obviously start plucking Brazilians.
Literally, they plucked all the players. They got Thierry Henry. Henry from Juventus and everything. Just
Yeah, yeah.
history happened.
Yeah.
We are talking about this shirt today. I'm wearing it. Now, I know people are going to roast me being an Inter fan and being like,
Wearing
why
a
are you
Roma
wearing
shirt.
Roma?
Yes.
I would say I don't really hate Roma. I don't have any specific hate for them. I feel like they have a bit of a nice connection. If you were to ask me to wear Juventus or Milan or...
Maybe not.
No, maybe not. But this is the new 4th shirt for Roma. Would you say it's 4th, even after they had the Aries collaboration?
I feel like the Ari is more like a special.
Special
I feel like,
shirt.
I don't know, I go through like, a lot of football shirt websites and you kind of got your home, away, fourth. Sometimes there's a cup shirt in there.
Yeah.
But then sometimes there's like a special shirt. And I feel like, like the Crochet one last 2 episodes back. And then now this, I'm guessing you
It's
could call
funny,
it a
you say
fourth.
special, then Armani has like home, away, third, special Halloween,
I've
special
actually,
Christmas.
there's a website I reference a lot. I'm going to go look and see what they've called all the Armani shirts for each of the different ones. Let me see
shit
what they-
1, shit 2, shit 3. They just forgot the R. So
But yeah,
sure.
like on the topic of this kit, obviously, 4th kit, released now, 12 games left in the season. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, like it's probably a good period for them to make a little bit of extra cash.
Yeah, maybe.
They're going pretty well in Europa. Were they Europa or Conference League?
Yeah, Europa, yeah. Oh, good question, actually.
Yeah, I should have checked that before. But like they do have some football, and then of course postseason, then preseason will start. But
Yeah.
let's talk about this shirt. It is the new Roma New Balance shirt. It might be the last New Balance shirts. Of course, if you haven't heard on the interwebs, Adidas might be taking over. The
Yes.
whole legal issues won't talk about it too much. But moving to Adidas will be amazing for them.
Yeah.
But is this a good way for New Balance to sign off?
I think it's a nice sign off. Yeah, I think, you know what, if you're looking for a future partnership with a manufacturer and you're sort of weighing up whether New Balance is like the one for you, I guess this is a very good way to go out with a bang at least. We saw Puma with the Italian national team kit. I think their last hurrah was a bit
Yeah, but that was a
average.
whole template for all their teams.
Yes. And it is what it is. Maybe it's just, maybe they don't care as much. I don't know. I don't really know. But I think this is awesome. This kit, like the design on it, there's a lot of detail in the base layer, which is cool. So they've got this ASR sort of throughout the whole green sections of the kit. And it looks a little bit more, I think it's like, I'm going to say retro. Like it's not the same ASR as that's in the crest, the modern version of the crest. It's pretty much, it reminds me of like the Diodora kind of era.
It does have that Umbro 90s, Diodora 90s, where it's got the sublimation of a logo. It is the ASR below the normal badge that you've
Yes.
got on too.
The hologram.
They've just changed that.
Yep.
I do like it. I'd say one thing, New Balance really hasn't reinvented themselves over a year. Like you see manufacturers change the way they design cuts. Like everyone's been making fun of the Nike template this season.
Yep.
But when you look at last season, it was different. The season before that was different. All the templates changed. Even Condivo, 21, 20, 22, they always have different versions of the template, as in the fit of the shirt.
Yep.
This is the same material, same stitching, same template formation from this season's home away and third shirt, and now of course this one, and then even last season the Porto stuff that I had to shoot. But like it just haven't really changed. So one thing I would say is New Balance really needs to reinvent themselves next season.
Yeah.
Because you'll see clubs not going into legal battles to go to new manufacturers. Overall, I do like it. What do you think about this holographic?
I'm such a fan.
You like it?
Yeah, I do. Because my opinion on this is, I don't know if the way they executed it is exactly right, because I feel like they've kind of just gone from current logo to this like modern ASR logo.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd love if this was like, I don't know, something a bit more stealthy, and you kind of throw in like the Lupetor, like I know Roma uses that quite often now.
We'll probably see that next season.
Yeah, maybe, but I'd love to see that holographic kind of, almost like a look back in time kind of thing. I know there was a few years ago, I think it was Sampdoria did a crest with like a song built into the crest. Like it had a little, I don't know if it was a speaker or something. And I don't know, I'm assuming that would not be on the player spec shirt, but on a fan version or something. I have to look into that. But look, I think it is a nice touch.
I like it. Of course, it was on the third shirt.
Yep.
And that was special to see. And like a lot of fans were like, going about, this is the best crest that you can ever see.
Yeah.
There we go. My time has just
And
stopped.
that's the pink and black.
It's the pink and black one. One thing I would say, the only thing I would change about this shirt is I would put the badge in the middle of the shirt. And that would have made this shirt 10 times better.
That is moving into that very Puma kind of style, isn't it? If they do the center crest with that.
I just feel like that
blocked.
cut would have been a lot better there, the white. And also, I reckon that needed a white little trim in the middle.
Yeah, I think a little more details. To be honest with you, the details that it has put on there in white, I do like. The sleeve cuff is cool. I know it's obviously on the other.
Have you noticed? Yeah,
home
and
as
also
well,
one thing you've noticed about New Balance, there's that little sash that you see there, that little cut thing. That's the ending of the New Balance N.
Oh, yeah, that is cool.
It's almost like the speed, because of course New Balance is a running brand.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
that's
I
their
don't
like
mind
sort of speed passing New
that.
Balance.
Is it the NFL jerseys that have the Nike swoosh on the shoulders, and they all
Yeah.
face the same way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of get that vibe, but that's kind of playing on that, I guess. It kind of reminds me, you know, the Man United, I think it was like 0708 shirt that had the racing stripe down the back.
Yes.
It was like notorious for coming
The
off.
Ronaldo one.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
That AIG sponsored Champions League, free kick against Porto, all that sort of stuff. It reminds me of that, which is a bit interesting. But I don't know. Like overall, I think it's a pretty cool kit. There's some cool origin stories around this, like how it's based on one of Roma's founding clubs.
One of three.
Okay.
So of course Roma, as we both researched before, I'll let you pronounce them because you're Italian.
Man, no, it's gonna be
but the
horrible.
three teams had formed together. This was in the early 1920s. The club that they're based this on was the most successful. I think
Yeah.
they ended up in the top three for the last, I think, their time of existence.
Yep.
So you can pronounce the first one.
Yeah, I think it's Società Sportiva. What is it? Alba something.
Yeah.
Alba Al Dace, or I'm not sure what the other part.
And
of
then the
the
other
club
two
name
were
is.
Roman FC and Fortitude Pro Roma, which was a bit of a fascist club with Mussolini connections. But look, I think the green did appear a few times. I think 3 times over the last 30 years. The most significant, and I think the first one from its previous 1920s era was the 1995 third shirt.
Yeah, that's cool. That was what? That was at Theodora?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like a big, thick collar. Good kid, actually. That's a very cool kid. I think that's like Nakata kind of era. Like, obviously, Totti as well. Like, you know, I'm trying to think of the other players that you kind of throw back to when you think of these squads. But that was like it's not as green as this. Like, it was almost a bit more leaning into like a greyish green.
It had a
right?
mixture. I think back then it's like the Venezia colour, that green one that you gave me.
Yeah, I guess you can
the
kind of see
Kronos
that.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got a bit more. Well, I think one more thing I would say is it's not a pure like green. It's a bit more of a turquoisey green.
It's nice. It's actually
nice.
a very nice colour, yeah.
But this is my question to you. Do you think Roma released this knowing that next year is the last year they can have green as a shirt? Because the Serie A as of next
it's
year,
gonna
no
be
more
a bit-
green.
I'd say so. That would be a nice touch and nice way to finish it. I just still think the timing's weird. Like, they're probably going to wear it twice at best. Say
Yeah.
in 6 games. Like, if 6 out of the 12 games are at home, they're wearing their home kit. So, okay, out of the 6 games left, what are the chances they're playing Sassuolo away? I haven't looked at the fixture, but
Yeah.
you know, that means they're not going to be wearing green again. I don't know. I just feel like it's weird. It's a weird time to release something like this. I love the kit. I think the kit's sick.
Yeah,
And I'm sure most Roma
feels
fans will as
really
well.
good. It's not like a Kappa one; it's like snug fit. But this is actually a really good fit. I do love the cuffing on it. It's an iconic New Balance design. The
Yeah.
badge, everything about it. You don't actually feel the templates on your shirt. Like, it actually fits perfectly. You know, sometimes you wear a shirt and you can feel every part.
Yeah.
Like when the underarm's cut a bit too short, so
Yeah.
it like digs up your
Yeah.
underarm.
Like this
the
one.
neck feels perfectly fine. I do like how just loose fit it is,
Yeah.
but the shirt itself is perfect. I would say the only downside to this shirt is the technology from New Balance's design. I would love to see them reinvent themselves next year.
You're obviously wearing this kit. I haven't worn it before. I've only seen it obviously here, but I can see that there's a back paneling here that's got like a breathable mesh.
It does work really well.
I was
right
going to
now.
say, I feel like just looking at it, it would feel like it does well, and it's the same kind of mesh that's through the front here, right? Yeah, interesting. I'd be interested to know. I'm going to assume these are fan version shirts, right? There's a dry cell.
Yeah, dry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm assuming that the player version wouldn't have, like, there's a stitched panels, right? So they wouldn't have a stitching seam through the
I
chest.
haven't actually seen it on the pitch, but I would assume that the player versions will be a lot different. Then again, this morning or the other morning, I don't know if you saw Antwerp had a situation in their cup game or
No.
I think league game in Belgium. The team they were playing couldn't see themselves on the pitch because there was a bit of colour difference, and similar to what United had with their grey shirt.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they
okay.
swapped shirts, and then they realised some of their players didn't have their name sets and numbers, so they actually stuck on and sticky taped and then wrote with the Sharpie their
Oh
numbers.
man, that's a very non-league thing, isn't it?
That
yeah,
was the
wow.
funniest thing I've seen in a very long time. So we'll definitely have to show you that. But if you haven't seen, check out the Antwerp. I'll make a little reel of this right now. So basically, the team had rolled out, and some of the players didn't have their shirts, so the kit man didn't bring the second shirts.
Yep.
So they literally wrote their names and name sets with a Sharpie and texters.
We've all been there, like when you go to like a state league game or something, and you know there's 2 guys wearing number 11, and all of a sudden the number 11 turns into like a 71 or like some real taped up, bodged up
Well, do
version
you remember
of
that
it.
time in the A League when Brisbane Roar had the numbers falling off?
Yeah, I
The
forgot about that.
77 Ivan Franjic shirt?
Yeah.
That was a classic Australian soccer. That was just perfect timing for us. Just what a way to get onto the global scene.
Yeah, it's one of those ones you see Twitter blow up and everyone's going, oh, typical A-Liga.
Out of 10, what do you give this shirt?
Ooh, actually, that's a tough one. I'm going to give it a 7. I feel like it looks like a training shirt, but I like the way it's been made, so I think the design's really cool.
I would give it about an 8 out of 10. Overall, the shirt is great. For the price range you're paying for, New Balance does a good shirt. Like I said, only downside to it is just a little bit more detailing. But if you do see in the light, you can see that ASNR going, ASNR, yeah, if that makes sense. But you can see it subliminate within every bit of their material, even in the meshing. You can see it like holographic.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Overall, it's a great shirt. Price-wise, yeah, Roma fans, you definitely need to have another shirt for your collection after having the Aries price range. But yeah, look, it's available at Ultra Football online and in store. I think there's a small amount in stock.
Yes, there is. The home away and third
shirt
which is
sold out fast.
Yeah, wow.
Home and away are both available, both in the scene. But yeah. But overall, what do you think about Roma's like kit history in general, like over time? I know you're a big Totti fan, so you definitely have all their shirts.
Yeah, so I felt like Totti was a bit of a romantic one for me as a kid. I think he was
as an Italian, of course.
He was we all have that one player that we kind of try to model our game around as, when we want to be, we want to be like our heroes and all that sort of stuff. So Totti for me was that player, and I wasn't a Roma supporter. I just loved the way he operated. I loved the way he went about it, and yeah, I think that's why I started falling in love with these kids. So I know when I started collecting shirts, it was always trying to find this gen of Italy and of Totti of Roma shirts. So yeah, look, I think it's definitely changed. Like that whole Kappa era, these are like, impossible to wear. I'm pretty sure I'm wearing a 2XL, and this still fits like
it's just Kappa for you.
Right? Yeah. So I guess it goes to show what the Kappa gen was like. The Diageo gen was really cool as well. I actually really like those. They were thick and a bit, nicer fitting. But I think from a history sense, I think they've progressed kind of well. What do you think?
Yeah, Roma has had a great time on the shirt scene. Some of the shirts are just plastic. It reminds me of that sort of windshield. I think the Kappa era with Totti time was just like purely just burgundy red. But I think as a club that did have great identity.
Yeah.
You do see some clubs losing their identity over time. And I would say that Roma does have that potential to push their boundaries and get creative. You do see going white, orange, you're going red, and now seeing green. And of course, the club does have this sort of romantic side to them. When you look at Inter Milan, when they're trying to invent the stripes or the hoops with most clubs, I feel like Roma has had always stuck to their original design. But I feel like if they did steer away from their original design, no one would complain, because Roma is just a really sort of loved club.
Yeah, and we kind of saw that with the third shirt, right? Like that's probably them deviating really far away from anything. I know they have had black kits in the past, and it is predominantly a black shirt, but I think it is like, I kind of like the fact that they are very traditional, and it's not in a boring way either, which is good. I still think, like, for me, as soon as you think of, like, if you're thinking of the best Roma kit of all time, I think you are still thinking of something around this kind of era, whether it's, Batistuta in, the early 2000s as well, or, maybe it's like that same kind of Totti, Roma, and Kappa kind of combination.
Let's not forget the greatest Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, true, the 97.
And the levels of Roma searches just skyrocketed.
I couldn't believe
numbers.
That's crazy.
It was just insane to think that she'd worn that shirt, and then all these Roma fans and just non-Roma fans just jumped on board and checked it out.
It's amazing, like, imagine just any famous person wearing anything, and it's like all of a sudden it blows up. So obviously they have so much pull. Like, it goes to show from a brand perspective, like, how much, like we talk about influencers and all that sort of crap all the time. But these people are genuinely have that much power within like the retail space. If I was getting DMs about, hey, do you have this Roma shirt? I'm like, how does a celebrity like that wear it just once off? I think it was three photos
all
of
the
it.
clubs Roma. I think we'll say that always, and we'll probably wrap it up soon. But like, you see people like Snoop Dogg and John Cena, always people wearing football club shirts.
Yeah.
But they always change over time.
Yeah.
I think the most well-known photo for me, everyone knows, is Drake wearing the pink Juventus shirt. Did it change the way people thought about Juventus? Definitely. I think people in Canada definitely wanted to jump on the whole what Drake like.
Yeah, I completely
So
agree.
I would definitely see a lot of fans being fans of Drake. I would love to see Alphonso Davies move over to Juventus one day in the future. That would be amazing for Drake and the Canadian sort of football, because the people will be like, oh my God, he's there.
Yeah.
Smartest thing for Juventus then to do is do a pink shirt.
Yeah. That's why I was surprised with the Icon Pack. I thought the Icon Pack would have come out with a pink shirt.
Yeah.
But is it too similar to Human Race? Maybe that's why they didn't go to
Potentially.
that way. But
It's a bit of money, bro. But overall, look, a great shirt. Like I said, available at Ultra Football. It does fit well. I feel like I'm wearing a large, so if you are someone that likes them a bit baggy, always go true to size, so a bit bigger if you need to feel comfortable. Quickly, 1v1. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. What's your sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit this week?
Sometimes maybe shit for me this week was PSG. I do like the club. I like a lot about their football kits and that kind of thing. But from a footballing sense, knocked out of the Champions League again, and I think it's like is it the fifth time in I think probably the similar amount of years that they've missed it and they've got knocked out around the round of 16. Man, you look at the squad and the players they've tried to bring in, and I think maybe last year was probably the one that they should have gone all the way, but obviously didn't get there either. And then this year again, I think it's almost like, okay, PSG need to rebuild, which is crazy when you think about a rebuild with the squad that they've got. Like, it sounds nuts.
People always go about the luck of the draw and seeing how your pathway to the top is. I feel like PSG always does end up with the Bayern Munichs or someone to stop them at that perfect time.
It's like a reality check.
Yeah. But looking at one of the stats, it was Bayern Munich had a stack, like Gnabry, they had Sané, and a few
Great
people
squad.
ready to go on the bench, Cancelo. And then PSG had no one. They had just a bunch of young kids from Paris, which is good to see.
Yeah.
But you think a club like PSG wants to win the Champions League. They've got Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. Probably the only time they'll ever have that, because there's rumours are that one of them is definitely leaving next year. And Messi, who knows what he's doing. But even this morning, I watched the game against Brest, and Messi just missed a few sitters. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this team does not have any chemistry. I feel like, when you look at star-studded teams over time, Real Madrid and all that, Barcelona's, even the Premier League, like Chelsea's and stuff, I feel like PSG, for the top three they have, I don't feel like the whole team's gelling.
Yeah.
Did you see what Sergio Ramos had said on camera? Like, he was literally filmed. He was saying something about Paris, something about whoever gave birth to Paris, the city, is BITCH.
Oh, wow.
Like, he's just cursing the city.
Oh, my God.
And people are like, is he regretting his move? And I think that, like, the whole team does not have good chemistry.
I feel like it's that whole team of champions versus champion team, right? Like, it's that theory, because in history it hasn't really, prevailed that well, because you look at everyone talks about Galacticos, and I think everyone's very quick to forget they weren't, okay, yes, they won the Liga, and, league titles came out of it, cups and all that sort of stuff. But aside from, like, I think it was the 2001 Champions League final, I really don't think they won that much.
Yeah, but when you look at the Galacticos era, even the recent ones, like, you don't have a whole lot of started players. A few of them did grow to that level, like Higuain, you got Guti, you had all these players that grew into that team, and they had idols, and then Higuain moved on and became who he was,
Like,
but
it was like
really have a great
that
time.
2004 kind of era where they did buy Ronaldo, Beckham.
Yeah.
They already had Zidane at that point. It was like it was Roberto Carlos. It was stacked, right? Like it was stupid. Raul was there,
and then Ronaldo came in. They had actually planned their replacements.
Yeah, it was like.
And then they had this weird period now where they couldn't buy everyone.
Yeah, of course, but they're still obviously doing well.
But now they're doing well it's funny because when you look at it, you kind of think that Real Madrid would have bigger players, being the Galacticos they are.
Yeah.
Vinicius Junior and a few of them, pretty good.
Yeah.
Did hear rumours that Senyor's moving to Barcelona. Apparently, that's going to be massive for them. Like, to have a bit of cross rivals.
Yeah, but he hasn't really played that much. I know he scored this morning, but. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that goes out. But
my last one, we'll end the episode soon, is sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, is just commentators in general. Like, I know people are going to be like, you're a biased United fan and you always complain about them talking crap about your team. But I have to say, one thing I don't enjoy about the Premier League is some of their commentators, and we remember the World Cup with Martin Tyler, who just passed his game.
It was just
respectful, love him.
He's still commentating.
Some of the comments these commentators make, they're just sitting there and you're watching the game, you're enjoying the game, and they pull this stat out absolutely out of nowhere, and they just say something, and you think to yourself, why are you speaking? Let me enjoy the game. Is there an option to turn off commentators? I do enjoy commentators here and there. I know a lot of Australians didn't like Brenton Speed because there was a lot of times where it was just absolute hogwash. Mm-hmm. But I have to say, if there was an option to watch the game, just the crowd noise and the players like back in the days of COVID times, I would love that.
I actually wouldn't mind that, being able to hear like the active support and stuff. Like, I know you can hear it if it's loud enough on most broadcasts, but it would be good to actually have no sound. I know, I think it was one of the World Cups, maybe 2014, I think it was, World Cup. SBS had SBS Radio operating all the World Cup games in multiple languages. So you could literally pick like SBS Spanish or whatever.
Premier League in Spanish.
And at the time, I think I used to love playing FIFA in Spanish because it'd be like, pasa la pelota. It was like,
go.
Yeah, it was the best. And it was like, and at the time I thought it was hilarious, and I was like, oh, this is so much more fun.
I love doing Italian on
FIFA. Right. Like, it's funny. And so I got so sick of listening to whoever was commentating that World Cup in English. So I was like, can't deal with this anymore.
Nah.
And let's chuck on. So I remember having TV on, and then radio on, and if TV would be on mute, radio would be on Spanish.
Yeah.
Be watching Argentina play. Watching Australia play Netherlands, I think it was, or Chile, and I was like, this is great. Especially the Chile game. The Chile game was good because it was obviously Spanish.
They always pull these random stats out. It's like Tim Cahill has passed 333 times, and out of those 333 times, he has only conceded 333 times. It's like, why are you telling me
These
this?
are not relevant stats.
Let me watch the game. Or it's like, that was a great tackle, and it wasn't even a tackle, and you're just thinking to yourself, just stop.
There's a good Facebook group, Football Down Under, and they've been talking. There was a post on there talking about. It was comparing two players, and I can't remember who the two players were, but it was literally comparing a striker and a centre back, and it was like goals, assists, games played. And like, how can you compare those stats with those players? Yes, okay, the striker, it's probably relevant, but for like, say it's Van Dijk, for example, why is a goal even a consideration for him? Like, unless you're comparing like two goal scoring centre backs or like, it's so irrelevant. Like, so why are you giving us these stats? Like, please just stop. Think about who you're talking about. Give us history about the player, where he's come from, all that sort of stuff. What's going on in his life?
Nah, done with it.
I don't know.
Anything else in the dugouts you need to mention? Are we announcing any new dates?
Yeah. So we've got 6 months of pop-ups lined up now. We're working on a Sydney one. Sydney's essentially locked in. The date is just TBA. So working on a Sydney one, which is good. April the 2nd is going to be the next Melbourne one, so 2 weeks away. And then after that, we're going to be every month. So there's going to be a big one coming around with the Women's World Cup as well.
Exciting.
And I think we're actually doing one on the day of the Women's World Cup final, which is cool. So
in Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, where is the Women's World Cup final?
Sydney.
Yeah. So obviously, pop-up will be, I think, here, unless Panika Sydney have some exciting news. But that'd be cool, yeah.
It's good. Anyways, nothing from me. Just potentially maybe new jerseys, Icarus Cup in July. So a few things happening. Make sure to follow Between Two Shirts on Instagram. Who are you? I'm not saying it.
PFC Vintage.
And Talking Shirt _ on Instagram as well. Make sure to subscribe to Ultra Football online and on YouTube. It's Ultra Football, and then just search up Between Two Shirts. Should be in the categories. You can find us. But that's it from us. Enjoy the episode, whether you're listening on YouTube or Spotify. Leave us a comment, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Guys. Thank you.
Goodbye. Stay away from stupid people. Bye.